Hi, I'm Jennet Ingle, the 5-Minute Read Maker. Listen, if you're watching this on YouTube, can you go ahead and click subscribe and click the little notify button? You are about to watch a read repair shop in which I look at Kate's reads. The first two of them actually come together really smoothly. They've got similar problems and similar solutions, but the third one stumped the 5-Minute Read Maker.
Hi, Kate. I'm looking at your 3 reads here. And as you mentioned in your note, the first one is definitely the most finished. And these two, numbers 2 and 3, sort of share similar problems in that they're not really vibrating and they're definitely not vibrating at the tip. But I'm super excited to start looking at these and finishing them for you. The first thing I noticed with this one and with your reads in general, right, is that you construct the entire thing further north than I do. Your rooftop here seems to be at about 68 millimeters, and the bottom of your heart is at about 62. So the whole thing is sitting 2 to 3 millimeters higher than I would normally go. And what I want to try to do is get you the vibration and the depth of sound that you want without just completely turning this into my read. So I'm going to try to sort of live with your positioning of those factors if possible. So here's read number 1. It is fairly well finished. It crows. It's quite a sharp C or even a C sharp. And it plays. Really nicely in tune. But your concern was that the sound was a little bit shallow, which I hear, and that there's just the tiniest bit of a chirp, which I get just the littlest bit when I blow it. It's almost not there at all. As I look at the tip under the plaque, I do see some places of extreme thinness, like just north of the rooftop, right in this area and in this area. And I also noticed that the cut-in, the transition itself, looks very different on these two sides. For me, this side, the lower blade, is cut in very, very strongly, and on this side, it's more transitional. And because we can't actually directly turn this into that without just bringing the whole thing back a millimeter or so, what I'm inclined to do is work it back a little bit, because here's what I see. Your rooftop starts up here at the peak, of course, but then right there at the gutter, there's a little bit of extra thickness. Here, and again right there. Just a little bit, as though there are like little weeds growing out of the gutter of your rooftop. And it's actually even much more the case over on this side. Here's your roof, and then here's some extra thickness. So without intentionally dragging your rooftop noticeably lower, I am going to take the gutters down. And in doing so, starting on this lower blade, I'm going to move back just enough to help ease that transition so that we have slope in your tip, into your tip, and not just sort of a wall that the vibrations bump into between the tip and the heart. So specifically, I'm working that leftmost and rightmost 2 grains of cane, taking the weeds out of the rooftop, weeds out of the gutter, and then just following through all the way to the corner. Then on the other side, same, I'm just sort of redefining that exact gutter area. And I'm trying not to make that mean. There we go. Not to make that mean that we're lowering your whole rooftop. Just that little corner area. And let's see what that did. That lowered the crow to a flat C instead of a sharp C, so I can clip it just the tiniest bit. me that sound has a lot more depth, and I haven't even touched literally anything south of that rooftop. Which is now sitting, the gutter itself is sitting at 66. Somehow I got that way back without actually touching where the top of your rooftop was. Does that make sense? So I took your surface, which was sort of up here in general, with only a little bit of angle to it, and I sort of turned it into this a little bit, and that's where we got the depth of sound. I'm not going to do more to this read because I quite like it and I think it's dramatically improved, but I'm very interested in seeing your other reads, so let's take a look. Read number 2. You say you think this read has potential, but you just sort of don't know what to do next. And I would totally agree with that, that there is absolutely potential here. Looking at your tip, I see a little bit of the same stuff here, right at the sides of the rooftop. So I'm going to tug that back a little bit. But the other thing that I feel in this read is a little bit of a lack of transition between the tip and the heart. In other words, it transitions almost too easily. It's too easy for me to get those the lower part of the crow, and that is a little bit wild. So I want that to be a little bit more focused. So I'm going to start by defining that rooftop, just as we have discussed, just like on the other read. Bringing down the slope of the roof, cleaning out the gutters, and making sure that the sides of the tip are the thinnest parts of the tip, and the corners, of course, are the thinnest parts of the tip. So it looks like I've done a lot, but again, I've touched nothing below that rooftop, below the gutter. Now, what I've done is I've made the crow even more raggedy, but that's just because I've lengthened the tip and everything's lower. So I'm going to clip right away before I do anything else. Again. And now, again. There we go. Now that I've got that tamed a little bit, I want to go further back. And I want to make your windows be a little bit thinner so that the heart can think it's thicker. Because for me, as I look at this read, I can see a lot of thickness at the sides of the heart, but you've also scraped through the heart quite a lot, trying to get vibration when your tip was just too short, really, to get vibration. So now, I'm going back here to see if I can redefine your windows to strengthen the heart. And did you hear how that stabilized the crow right away? I can even clip a tiny bit more now. And having done that, I'm going to put that on the oboe. It's coming along, but it's still a little bit wild. I want to clip. I want to clip. I want to clip, but I'm not comfortable clipping because we're at a nice C that's even a little bit high. So now I'm going to round out your heart, looking for depth of sound, looking for more easy connection between notes. I just sort of want the greater fluidity that I hope will come from cleaning off the bark on the sides of your heart. Also, look at this. On this blade, compared to this blade, there's a dramatic asymmetry to this heart. Can you see it? I'm looking at my screen to see if we've got resolution. This side's much longer heart and higher. Oh. Now I feel justified in bringing your rooftop down. Why didn't I start with this? Why didn't I start with structure, symmetry, before balance? I don't know, I just got distracted, I guess. Now we've got a low crow that's a little bit weak. I'm going to clip to strengthen it. I've got a C crow. I'm going to play it. It works very easily, perhaps almost too easily. Can I clip it again? I say yes. All right, let me pause for a second. I feel like I've gotten real excited with this read. Measurement-wise, this is still up a little bit from where I would normally place my reeds, but that's not inherently the problem. What I'm hearing and feeling in it is an element of brightness that I do not love. And so I'm going to look for thickness in the sides and corners of the tip that might be giving me that harshness. And I found it there, I think. Back on the oboe. So when I had that sound that was fairly bright and harsh, the sides and corners of the tip were my answer to that. And I really feel much better about this read now. Here's the reason that I think this is not yet fantastic. I think that in order to get the amount of vibration that you had in this read, you may have over-scraped through the heart a little bit. And this is a really common issue when your tip isn't fully vibrating. If your tip isn't fully vibrating, then you have tried to scrape through the heart to find that vibration. And the problem is that once I got the tip going, the heart was already a little on the thin side, more so here on the upper blade than on the lower blade. And I didn't scrape much in the heart, as you recall. I did just take the sides of the heart off. But I'm not exquisitely happy with the way this feels right now. I'm going to do one more attempt. Again, to make the heart think it's thicker, I'm cutting it a little more strongly at the tip on the upper blade. So from the gutter of the rooftop all the way up. Other side, same deal. My computer's dinging at me because I neglected to turn it off before I started. There we go. One more clip. And I swear there's going to be a reed in there. So there is that. And shall we look at your read number 3? So you tell me in your note that you've spent a long time on this reed, going scrape, clip, scrape, clip, scrape, clip, trying to chase that sea crow, which it does have, but it's so resistant. And with this reed, I just want it to be easier. We've got the sea crow, we've got the balance. Let me play it before I start scraping. This reed to me, I don't understand how it's working, actually. It's got such a thin, such a small tip, and you've got thin places right here, and like this area is super thin. It's thicker. I just like checked it by putting it in my mouth and feeling that tip. It's thicker at the tip of the tip than it is further back, and you've got so much bulk in the heart that it's barely vibrating. But this reed, of all of your reeds, is the shortest, so the most down to length. You're only at about 70.5 millimeters. So I feel like I've not got a lot of room to bring this down and turn it into my reed like I am apt to do here. So how are we going to turn this into something that works better? I'm going to the corner. I'm going to the corners first because I can see that there's extra thickness at the sides and corners of the tip, and we never want that, so let's deal with that first. And I'm just sort of scraping so lightly. Like, this is not a quality of cane you'll see me taking off in my early construction phases, right? This is just little bits. Sort of trying to make sure that the very corners are the thinnest parts. Those little kitty cat ears up at the corner. Okay, having done that, it's brought the crow down to a flatter C. I still have to hold the reed together with my mouth a little bit, but let's see what happens next. I don't like it. What am I going to do? I can't clip that. It's too wild feeling for me. It's too open and strong. And there's no room in the tip to do anything. I hate to do this, but I have to. I'm just going to pull those corners down, pull the gutters down a little bit and see if we can find the way to transition here from the tip into the heart. Oh yeah, now that's a big fold of cane. And my worry is that doing this, because you've already had to scrape through the heart a fair amount to get this reed vibrating, I'm hoping that when I remake your tip, I'm not just taking too much away from the heart. Oh! Well, that is a much more tamed and refined crow down at a B. Give it a tiny clip and play it. I think I have room to clip more for sure because I'm really holding that together with my mouth. And it's still a B. Oh, what if we were able to come back to your whole short tip idea, but with a steeper rooftop, a deeper inverted V. That seems like the theme of what I've been discovering on these reeds. I'm trying to work on them without dramatically changing the structure you've set up, but in each case I think I've pulled that rooftop down and it's really brought depth into the equation. And fullness. I feel like there's a lot more potential in this reed now to like create a big sound than there was before. I'm just looking for a little more control up here, so I'm going back to those kitty cat ears. I brought out a new plaque, brand new plaque for the occasion of this video, and it's not broken in enough or scraped down enough on the sides yet, so my knife keeps throwing it out. So if you notice that I'm continually picking my plaque back up, that's what that's about. Okay. There we go. There's my sea crow. And I feel like the wildness that's still in here a little bit. Let me just look again. If I had to label that, and if I had to say why it is that this reed feels not quite as stable to me as I would like, I would say that it is because you've in laying in your very, very short, very thin tip, you end up with a lot of thinness right in this area above the heart. And I feel like that transition area for me is where a lot of my stability comes from. And then in order to get vibration going on these reeds, you've scraped a lot through the heart. And, you know, I'll do that too. But I think you've done it prematurely. So what I've gotten in this reed now is a better balance, I think, so that it articulates more easily, it plays more easily, but I think that the heart is a little bit too thin for the tip, and I think that that's probably the case over here too. And the center of the tip, I think, is a little bit too thin for the tip. Can I compensate for that? All I'm doing is trying to improve the symmetry up here a little tiny bit and make sure that the outside of the tip is thinner than the inside of the tip. Ooh, there's some fertile ground there. And always I'm trying to make sure that the heart thinks it's strong. So my cut in at the very outside, at the gutter, is important here. One more clip. I swear there's a rate here. There! I just have to hold on to it more than I like because the heart feels thin. If I go behind the heart, can I improve it? I'm going to try because I'm not happy yet. And I want you to be happy. And I want me to be happy. It's turning into quite a long video too. It's working, but I don't like it. I hate this read number 3. I hate this read number 3. In comparison to read number 1, which has such a nice fullness and softness and loveliness. Read number 2, which at least feels honest to me. Read number 3 lacks response and stability and tone quality. And I'm a little bit out of ideas with it. Sometimes, and I hate to say it, right? Even the 5-minute read maker, or the 26-minute read maker in this case, as I'm looking at this video, is stumped. This read doesn't feel like it wants to be a read. I'm just looking at it in the light here. I'm going to wish this read well and send it on its way, because I don't think it's a read. I'm going to send you a replacement along with this one, in case it was me that wrecked it. But I was really happy with what we were able to do here and here.
Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.